Welcome to Murder and Everything Else. My name is Joy.
And my name is Cheryl. Joy and I are two very old friends who love to talk about murder and everything else.
And this week, it's Everything Else. Cheryl, I just want to talk a little bit about all gender bathrooms.
Okay.
I'm going to go into a lot more detail, but I was in New York this last week, and this also, I find this a lot more frequently in California as well. There were all gender bathrooms that are not one stall bathrooms. They're multiple stalls. Mm-hmm. And it says all gender bathroom on the door. So you go in and there may be a man in the stall next to you, or there may be, someone gender neutral or someone whatever, transgender, whatever, in the stall next to you. There's everybody coming out of the bathroom to wash their hands and leave. Just like when you're waiting in line, as you're prone to do in a city like New York, because there's a lot of people, there's going to be all different genders waiting in line to use the bathroom. And it is a little bit startling, because we live in a place where we don't have a lot of all gender bathrooms. Mm-hmm. I don't think I've ever found any in this state. That doesn't mean they don't exist. Maybe they're one stall bathroom.
Not this state, but in Arizona.
Yeah. So it was really, I have to say, it was very, very cool, because one of the things that I really dislike when you really have to use the bathroom, and you and I talk about using the bathroom all the time because it's one of our favorite things to do, is get to the bathroom, and then the women's bathroom is a one staller and it's full. There's 3 women waiting in front and no one's in the men's bathroom. And then the women won't go in there because it's like a men's bathroom and they don't. And so a lot of times a woman will say, watch the door for me, and head on in, because you can't be standing there holding it and peeing your pants and getting a bladder infection because you need to go to the bathroom.
And you got to get back to the second act.
Exactly. So I have to say that I am all in with the all gender bathrooms, but it does give you a moment of pause when you're waiting in that line and you look down, and it's not just women standing in the line, because we're not as used to that. But of course, everybody has to go to the bathroom. It's not like people are getting in the line because they want to go in the bathroom and do weird shit with the, toilet paper or whatever. They really want to just go to the bathroom.
Right. But I'm going to express an unpopular opinion.
What?
Because the one that I went to, I was with my friend Christine in Arizona. Hey, Christine.
Hey, Christine.
And I told her, I was like, I don't really like it.
Oh, why?
I don't know. It makes me uncomfortable. Maybe because I'm not used to it yet.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
Well, I mean, it's not like the urinals where people are just lined up with their junk out. You got a door that's locked.
I get it. I think it's just a matter of getting used to it. It's not, I don't know, it just makes me feel weird.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, what makes you feel weirder? Peeing your pants in public or using an all gender bathroom?
Well, no, I'm not saying I don't use it, because you gotta go. I'm just saying that I don't know if I'm how on board I am. Okay, if it's a one stall, like gas stations at the the convenience stores and you're driving cross country, if those are gender neutral, for some reason I'm okay with that. But being in a restroom where there's a bunch of stalls, I know this sounds ridiculous, I know, but there's a bunch of stalls and you come out and you're washing your hands next to a man, that makes me feel weird. But if it's a one stall thing, then I'm okay, because you're going in one at a time. I don't know, I can't explain it.
I know I've talked about this before, but remember that show Ally McBeal from the 90s?
I never watched that, really.
Oh, well, it was the first time on a TV show or a movie that I learned about co-ed bathrooms. It was a law firm that had, all gender bathrooms. But of course, at the time, we didn't use the term all gender inclusive. We used the word co-ed.
Unisex. No?
Unix.
We called it co-ed.
Oh, they called it co-ed bathroom. And so I worked for a company and they had a suggestion box. And it was also the company where my boss used the word genre instead of the word genre. And the
And now
our department head kept saying, if anybody has suggestions for improvement, because they were bleeding employees, and I think they felt like, oh, we really need to staunch the bleeding. And so because I never had any great suggestions, and I was just there to put in my 8 hours and go home, I would always write on a little post-it note, stick it in there, co-ed bathrooms. I'm here to tell you that they never were on board with, and he actually mentioned it after probably the 5th or 6th time I put the note in. He's like, I keep getting a request for co-ed bathrooms. He goes, that's not happening anytime soon. But I kept putting it in just because I thought it was fun.
And look, you were ahead of your time.
I was really leading the charge. Anywho, I also have one other quick thing that I want to throw out there, a recommendation. In Europe and in other countries, besides the countries in Europe, they have these very nifty public toilets that you put like a coin in, or a euro or something, and or swipe your credit card, and you can use it anywhere you are. And I had to tell New York, you got to get on board with this. Maybe you have them someplace and I just didn't see it. But this whole idea of restrooms are for patrons only, and then trying to track down a bathroom when you're wandering around out and about. I mean, come on. I don't know. I just feel like with the amount of tourism that you have in New York City and the amount of people wandering the street, I think it's ridiculous to not have more public restrooms. And if you don't want people going in there and sleeping or, doing nefarious things, then make them pay, credit card restrooms, or, you know what I mean? You have to pay to go in them. I don't know.
I wonder if it's having to have the staff to upkeep,
I don't know, but I then have the honey buckets, the the stinky ones.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Tell you that the eternal search for the restroom, I know where every restroom is in every Bloomingdale's in every corner of the city. Well, that's the
thing. Okay, I always think of a Starbucks because there's usually so many people. Oh, but some of the times they have a
door
code.
Locks. Yeah,
they have a code.
You have, and then it'll say for customers that are buying something, patrons only. Anyway, rolling on to updates. I have made the executive decision that I am not watching the rest of The Golden Bachelor.
Oh, that means I'm not watching the rest of it.
Yeah, and you guys, the main reason is because this show, with the Jerry Gary episodes, I was invested, Cheryl. And I wanted to know what was happening. But with this one, I'm not even interested. He's so boring, right?
Right.
I just find him so incredibly dull, and none of the women are exciting, and they all are, I don't know. So anyway, I'm pulling the plug. So
sterile.
Don't expect any Golden Bachelor updates, Francoise. You win, I lose. There will be no more Golden Bachelor conversation. And also last week, I talked about foraging, and Cheryl asked me if it was related to only foraging mushrooms, and I said I thought it was, but I looked it up, and no, foraging is not only related to mushrooms. It is the general act of searching for and gathering wild food resources, which can include plants, berries, nuts, and more, in addition to mushrooms.
Turns out I'm not so stupid.
While mushroom hunting is a common and popular type of foraging, it is just one of many forms of this activity. So yes, we do fact check ourselves, Cheryl, right?
Yes.
How about you, Cheryl?
I was right.
Yes, Cheryl was right and I was wrong.
That's not going to happen very often, so I relish in the...
She does.
I take great pride in being right a couple of times. My update is, so I think I at one time said that I wasn't going to use Temu anymore, or Temu, because...
You just said that literally last week.
I know, that's why it's on my updates, because I ordered 2 water picks and only one showed up, and I said... they used to be a lot... She's
2-fisted water picking.
That's right. They used to be a lot more lenient, I think, on the refunds, and now it's like, well, prove it.
You'll
and
get $3 and here's a 20% off coupon.
Well, they were like, can you send a picture of the packaging? And I'm like, I threw it out. It was really just wrapped in plastic. But, and so their computerized chat bot helper, it's ETHME. ETHME. I don't know. It's an acronym or a name.
It's me. It's me. It's you. It's we. Can't believe you didn't put that together.
Oh my God. Well, she denied me. She's like, well, you can't prove it, so we can't give you a refund. And so I wrote back because I was like, I really didn't get it.
You paid for it and you didn't
I
get it.
really didn't get it. And so this time I used a chat and they said, would you like up to $20 off, 20%? I said, sure. I was like, okay, at least it's something, right? Because I never got the second one.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, they put it in my account. And then the next day I had a credit. It says your refund is coming for the other water pick. So I don't know what happened, but they did refund my money. And therefore, I had to take advantage of the 20% off and
buy more
bunch of shit. And I bought you a pillow, which I don't know if you're going to use.
She did, and it had to puff up. I don't know how they got... First of all, how does that Temu shit get so dirty? Do they stick it in someone's butthole and then transport it over here? I mean, it's always... The packages are always so filthy.
It was like black dust on it. I had to work it out. Anyway, you will have to do a review on the pillow. You guys, it's one of those... It's one of those for back and side sleepers.
Yep. It's one of those memory foam. I used to have a memory foam pillow, but it threw my neck out. So I'm going to try this one. I'm going to try it and see. But the one I had before was real puffy. And so it was like my head was up on a shelf. So I think that was a problem. But this one... I tried it last night before it was done puffing up, and it was really nice. So I'm going to try it tonight and see how it goes.
Give us a review.
Anyway, any more updates, Cheryl?
I only have one update.
All right.
I'm not a hoarder like you.
Whatevs. Anyway, rolling on to shout-outs. Guys, I have a shout-out today for Venmo. And here's why.
Oh, I love Venmo.
You're going to hear a lot about New York today because that's what we're talking about because I just got back from New York. And I'll tell you that it's so great. Like, we would Uber and then everybody would just Venmo me their portion of the Uber.
So
and we would go out to
easy.
eat and somebody would put it on their credit card and then everybody would just Venmo. It's so easy
nice.
because now you don't have to do that thing where it's like, let me this and let me that.
And carrying around
you
cash
take 5
and
credit cards. And
asking the server to split it up into 5 tabs.
And you can do it real time.
Yeah.
So you pay for the food and you get the Venmo right away and then it's out of your mind. It's so nice.
I second that shout out.
Also, I'm going to add Uber to that list.
Yeah.
Goober. I wish somebody would come up. I wish somebody would come up with an app that's called Goober.
Well, no, we should start a competitive. We should be a competitor to Uber and call it Goober.
Anyway, Uber to the mix because Uber makes life so much easier. And Google Maps. I mean, what did we do before? I mean, and then like just general shout out to technology. And then also my final shout out is to women who like to travel because I did go on a girls trip and while your girl Cheryl and my husband
I feel like
took charge of the house and the animals
I feel like
that's the fort.
I feel like that's a dig to me.
No.
I give a shout out to women who like to travel. My sidekick does not like to travel.
She went on a trip this summer with me, and you know what? She was super game, and I was a good traveling companion.
You are very good.
And we were a good team, right?
Yeah.
So also, I did that intentionally so that I could show her that I'm a good traveler so that someday we will be traveling. So there. Anyway, I know this sounds very, very like snooty and upper crust, but I only have a short week this week and then we're going on another trip.
Oh, wow.
So I'm super excited about that.
That's fun.
Anyway, Cheryl, how about you? You got some shout outs?
Okay, so I've been super like critical of movies lately. You know, I've said I haven't found any that have really wowed me or that I've really liked or I would recommend. And so I've been, watching old tried and true movies. But a couple of days ago, I gave The Substance a try. It's with Demi Moore. Or Demi Moore. How do you pronounce it?
Demi. Apparently
it's not even Demi or
is
Demi.
on the on the I. It's Demi.
No one says that.
Yeah, it is.
Demi Moore. Demi Moore.
Demi
Moore.
Demi Moore.
And Margaret Qualley, who is Andy McDowell's daughter.
Yeah, I only just found that out recently.
So beautiful, the thick, wavy black hair, blue eyes.
Who's the dad?
Anyway, I don't know. Who's the daddy? You can look it up. Anyway, it is, for any of you who have watched Death Becomes Her, which I love that movie with Bruce Willis, Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn. It's that movie on steroids. It's
How
Death
funny, because
Becomes Her.
Demi Moore was married to Bruce Willis.
Right, yeah. And I will tell you that I kind of didn't want to watch it because I wasn't sure about Demi.
But she did good. Demi.
She was good. And I see all these, I'm sure she got accolades too, but I saw, Margaret Qualley is she's very good. But Demi is fantastic. And I give her a lot of credit for doing this role because what I've seen of her in the media, it seems like I was a little bit worried about her. She's gotten really thin. I'm like, oh no, is she one of those older women who can't accept getting old, And this movie is all about getting old and trying to capture. Anyway, it's very outlandish. So people might, if they watch it, they're like, she gave this like a really great review. It's very outlandish, but I loved it. There's a part towards the end that's a little bit far out. I was like, what are we doing with this? But overall, it was very good. The Substance.
Awesome. Well, guys, add that to your list of movies to watch because
it's gory. I love gore.
Great. Well, I won't be watching it. Anywho.
You should watch it. If you watch Death Becomes Her, and you have, right?
Yeah, but that's funny.
Like a big silence. This is not that. It's not a comedy, but it's It just really says, it's just really outrageous, and it says a lot about how we want to be youthful. Like it's only good to be youthful.
Isn't that sad?
It's so sad.
It's so sad.
That's why it was so good. You got to watch it, Joy. Watch it and then give your review.
And I'll close my eyes during the gory parts. Anywho, guys, this week is a non-murder week. That means only 3 people will be listening, me, Cheryl, and Gabe. And what we're going to be talking about this week, or what I'm going to be talking about, is I'm going to be talking about my trip to New York. I went midweek, flew in on a Tuesday, flew home on a Friday. You fly in first thing in the morning, you fly out in the evening, because then you get the added bonus of your travel days. I love New York.
You seem like you were gone for so long.
I know, right? I love New York City. First of all, I love cities. I feel like at heart, I am a city girl, even though I have embraced living in the country. And Cheryl's been to New York.
Why do they call it the Big Apple?
The Big Apple? New York used to be called New Amsterdam. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that. That is weird. Why was it called the New Amsterdam?
It's because it was called New Amsterdam before it was called New York. I just happen to know that from that song by that group called They Might Be Giants. They go, "Old New York was once New Amsterdam."
Oh.
Yeah, so anyway, New York City is called the Big Apple because of a horse racing term popularized by sports writer John J. Fitzgerald in the 1920s. He overheard the stable hands in New Orleans use the term to refer to New York's prestigious racetracks, where the biggest prize money could be won. Fitzgerald began using the Big Apple in his column to describe these racing events, and the term eventually became a popular nickname for the entire city.
Oh my gosh.
Look at that. We learn something new every day. Anywho, I went to New York. The trick is you have to fly. If you're flying from the East Coast, you have to fly in the morning so you can maximize the whole day.
Yeah.
And that's what we did.
And you're on the same timeline, so it's time.
Yes.
Time,
and it's
time.
you know what? It's an hour flight for us. And it was an hour flight home, which is so easy.
That's
easy
so nice.
peasy. Although, have you noticed that it doesn't matter if it's an hour flight or if it's a 5-hour flight? Flying basically occupies almost an entire day.
Yeah,
it's
but
so annoying.
You got to get up. You got to get to.
Yeah, and you're only sleeping like 4 hours the night before, so you're exhausted that first day. But anyway, we flew into LaGuardia, and we took an Uber from LaGuardia to the hotel, which was in Midtown Manhattan. And the Uber driver was from Tajikistan. And I don't know if anyone remembers, last year, around the same time I went to New York to meet a friend from California, and my Uber driver was from Uzbekistan. So I've now had 2 Uber drivers from 2 different stands, Uzbekistan and Tajikistan.
How many stands are there?
Well, there's Afghanistan, there's Kyrgyzstan, there's Kazakhstan, there's Turkmenistan. What else? Pakistan. There's a lot of stands.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I was going to try to make a joke, but none came to my head.
so we dropped our bags, and then at the hotel, which by the way was so great. It was like 2 blocks up from Central Park and 2, maybe 3 blocks over from, is it Lincoln Center? I can't remember. Anyway, it was so well, and it was like literally like a 5-minute walk from Times Square, maybe 6-minute walk.
Oh my God, that's cool.
Over. And so it was just in this great location. There were subway lines all around us. And then we went to walk in the park and just check out the park, walk through the park. The weather was low 60s.
Oh,
so it was
so
cool.
beautiful.
And so you didn't have to wear a heavy coat. You could wear I wore long sleeves and a vest, or I wore I had a blazer that was heavier that I wore one day, because one day was a little bit cooler. You should have seen me on the plane coming home, because I did buy a coat while I was there. So I felt like I had 8 coats on.
Oh my God.
Yeah, remember that children's book, Hats, 50 cents a hat, and the man has a stack of 50 hats on his head? Well, I felt like that, except for with coats. Like I said, we dropped our bags, had a tasty lunch out and about, and then went back to the hotel to get ready for dinner.
What was the tasty lunch?
The tasty lunch was just one of those New York, kind of deli places where there's a guy up front going, I got a table for 4, but you got to wait at least 10 minutes. And then the 10 minutes turns into 20. And then there's pastries in the case. And he's like, ladies, he goes, don't leave because I got you covered, And he's and he comes over every 5 minutes and goes, they're wrapping up. We're wrapping up the food for them. They're paying the bill right now, And then it was great.
I love New York people.
I just love, yeah, me too. And so we had dinner it was called Serafina's. That's where they filmed Sex and the City.
Uh-huh.
And then the first night we went to Chicago. And let me just tell you.
The musical
Chicago. And we had 5th row seats, Cheryl. It was so great. All those little Broadway theaters are all such intimate little locations, and no seat is a bad seat.
Yeah.
But 5th row back, you can't beat that. And headlining the show was Mira Sorvino, who I Googled, and by the way, is 58 years old. I know. And for those of you who don't know, she's Paul Sorvino's daughter. She was in The Mighty Aphrodite, which she won an Oscar for, which I believe was written by Woody Allen. Yeah. She was in Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion.
I know her from American Beauty.
Oh, I forgot she was in that.
And you know what?
50 fucking 8. What the hell?
I've kind of stopped her at being in her 20s. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, well, she looked like she was in her 30s. I mean, she looked amazing. But I had to tell you, I've already had this conversation with Cheryl, but I'm going to bring it up again because, we've talked briefly about Cheryl being a dancer and an actress for many years as kind of her first career that she had. And and then, you know, she went on, you did choreography as well. And, you know, so Cheryl's had this like amazing career. She was in music videos. Like, guys, when I say that I'm working with a professional, I mean, I'm not like fucking around. Like, she knows her shit. But and she was really good. But I kept thinking about you through the whole show.
Aww.
Because first of all, they're doing 8 shows a week. They're doing, you know, a show every day and 2 on Sunday because they do a matinee. That right there, just the rigor of having to stay in shape to dance and sing, and all the costume changes and the, you know, just the discipline that goes into that, because, you know, your life, all the other stuff you do in your life has to revolve around that schedule. That's not a lazy person's schedule. That's not a slouch's schedule.
Right. No.
I mean, also, you have to be on your mark. You have to know where you're standing. You have to know what line it is. You have to know what's next. You have to, you know, because at no time did anyone run into anybody. And this is not a large stage. What they did was they put risers in the back and had the orchestra behind as part of the set decoration.
Right.
So half of your stage is taken up with orchestra instead of them being down in the orchestra box, because part of Chicago is so much that music. It's not like the Lion King where you can hide the orchestra in the orchestra box. So it was so impressive. And then just awesome. the flawlessness of the execution of the dances and the lines and knowing when to say them and the inflection, and, you know, and then what I've always found so impressive is being able to, whether you're chorus or whether you have a leading role, the control you have to have on your ability to sing and dance at the same time. It just blows my mind. And then Mira Sorvino, obviously, she brings her name to the show, and she's the headliner. But let me just tell you, and she played the role of Roxy Hart, but the girl who played Velma and the guy who played Billy the attorney and everyone else in the cast, talk about set of pipes, man. They could sing, they could project. They were everywhere at one time, like basically, you know, just connecting with the audience, which was so cool.
That's awesome.
It was so cool. And I mean, you'd be hard pressed to say which dancer was better than the other dancer, you know?
Yeah.
On top of it, they're wearing, the girls, it's Chicago, so, you know, it's during the flapper era, and those girls in the ensemble, I mean, the guys were like super in shape too, and the girls were super in shape, but their costumes were any kind of combination of like basically a black thong underwear, black bra with mesh over it, like black stockings, kind of like what you see like ballerinas when they go to practice, you know, because
they don't do the
not the
bra
thong,
and
but still, it was so amazing, you know. But they don't wear a lot of clothing, you know, because you're going to be dancing and you get warmed up and you're going to sweat. And I'm like, you're wearing a pair of nylons and a G-string practically. How on earth are you able to do all this shit, you know, and heels and do all the stuff you're doing? Dressed like, I mean,
they're professionals.
They are professionals. And then we walked past the show the next day or the day after, and it was like beforehand, and a couple of the dancers were out in front with coats on, and they're handing out programs. And I'm thinking, these kids are, I mean, because most of them were young, right? They're doing everything. They're like the whole thing, you know, the whole, of course they want to sell tickets to their show, and they want to fill the theater every show because, you know, that's, you know, it was a great ensemble. It's a great, I mean, Chicago is like one of the greats. And the other thing is, I'd never seen Chicago other than like the movie and whatever. Right. So I was so excited because I've seen a lot of Broadway musicals.
So fun.
But to see it on Broadway, like just kind of elevated it, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, I could go on about it and on about it, but I did want to ask you because there were so many elements while I was watching. I was like, oh, I have to ask Cheryl this. I have to ask Cheryl that. What kind of, because you've been in musicals, and what is the, like, because there has to be extensive practice before to work out all the kinks. Like when you did Bob Fosse's dancing. When I say Cheryl's legit, guys, I'm not fucking around. How many weeks or months or whatever did you practice beforehand?
Well, I was on a tour of it, so they already had, the show was already, it's already put together. If you're in the skeleton crew when they're putting the show together, that's a whole different story. So I was living in LA, and I was hired, they had a big casting call in LA, and I was hired, and the rest of the cast was based out of New York. So they flew me to New York, and it actually, unless I'm misremembering it, it was only a 6-week rehearsal because, again, they had already been doing the show. So
you get paid for the rehearsal time too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I remember learning it in 6 weeks.
One of my friends leaned over and asked, "What do you think they get paid?" And I wanted to ask you because, I mean, I don't imagine they're making millions of dollars.
No.
Mira Sorvino probably got paid pretty well.
Well, and the leads.
Yeah, but if you're just in the dance ensemble, it's like a job. You're probably getting a regular pay.
Well, so it's a union. So Stages Equity is the union. Well, now it's SAG-AFTRA is together, and I've been out of the business for so long. I think Equity was the stage union, and it was it was union rate. So this was back in the 80s, and I don't remember, honestly. It might have been about $500 a week or something like that. Wow. I really don't know. I don't remember. But there's a union rate.
That's crazy. Anyway, it was just really cool, and yeah, even if you don't have a chance to go to New York, if you have a chance to watch a live show like that, you should take it because I don't know, it's just so cool.
It's exciting.
It's fun. There was something really weird. There was a guy standing up. I looked left, and he was in the middle of the middle section, and he was standing up, and he looked like he had on a furry suit, and he had his hood up over his head, and people were coming in, and the usher goes, hey, and he tried to get the guy to and the guy steps, how Roberto Benigni stepped on top of the chair?
Yeah.
He climbs up on top of the chairs. Now remember, there's people sitting everywhere, and he's stepping across people into empty chairs, and then he sat down, and I could tell that the ushers were trying to get him out of people's seats, but he was just insistent on staying put. And I just remember thinking, please, there was an empty seat to my left. And I remember thinking, don't come over here. Because I swear to you, I am like the weirdo magnet.
Right. Anyway. But he settled down. He didn't cause any trouble during the shoot and jump up on stage.
Yeah, he didn't. But then I was thinking, you know what? There have to be people that just, it's like a Friday night, Saturday night, whatever, who live in the city who are like, I'm going to just go see a show. It's alternative to staying home or watching a movie or, it's because there's so much culture around you. Mm-hmm. There's so much everything. Anyway, so I'm going to go into day 2. You got to start your day with coffee and walking when you're in New York, and you got to wear comfortable shoes. I have the added bonus of having cute boots that are very comfortable for walking. So I always joke around that I have to take 5 pairs of shoes when I go anywhere, but I actually took 2 pairs of boots and a pair of tennies, and guess which shoes I didn't wear at all? The tennies. Because I cannot be dressed.
Why did you even take them?
Just in case.
Of what? You're going to go jogging one day?
No, in case I got blisters or something and needed a break, because, I can't be caught walking around a city like New York City wearing some bullshit like I'm some kind of tourist from, I don't know. I just can't do it. So we went and had brunch at Sarah Beth's, and that was fun. And then, guys, just remember, if you go into New York City, every dish in every restaurant, and they do put the prices, starts at around $30. Doesn't matter if you're getting the 2 eggs, toast, and bacon.
Oh my gosh.
And it doesn't matter if you're getting the avocado toast, all right? Everything starts at $30. So if you live in an area that's cheap, like for example, we live in an area that's pretty cheap, right? Mm-hmm. You can still go to the town near us and get a decent meal for under $15 for one person. Well, you can't do that in New York City.
No.
And we had these lemon ricotta pancakes, Cheryl. Oh my God, they were so freaking good. And afterwards, we headed to Nolita for some shopping, and we were going to like do some consignment shopping. I got a dress. I went to a consignment store and found a new Tags coat. And then one of the ladies that I was with got notification that we got tickets to the Colbert Show. So we abandoned ship in that part of town and headed back down towards our hotel so we could drop our purchases so that we could get in line. So we ran and stood in line, and we got turned away because they had enough people. You know, they tell you have tickets, but doesn't guarantee unless you're priority that you're going to get in. However, that opened up the evening for some bar hopping. So that's what we did. And then we ended up the evening by going to our hotel bar, which was on the 26th floor, and sitting up there in some cozy chairs and just hanging out. And that was fun. Yeah. And the reason we didn't mind too much about the Colbert Show is the next day we had priority tickets to go see the taping of the Drew Barrymore show. And I'm just here to tell you, I'm really, really, really impressed with us, because one of the things that became very apparent is what you and I do in here is not that different from what's done on that set. Granted, it's a larger set. There's more people. They have moving cameras. They have people who are holding the cords. They have someone holding, someone taking stills while while the cameramen are working the cameras. They have a guy who's rousing the crowd up, telling us when to clap and when to ooh and ah and when to go and when to, laugh. That whole aspect of production. And then they have producers in suits standing there just making sure everything's on track. But what we do here from start to finish with this is a smaller, watered down, little shrunk down scale of that, but it's exactly the same thing. Yeah. Exactly. And then they tape a longer show because they do a lot of editing. And the guests that were on, oh, by the way, on the way to the Drew Barrymore show, because we had to be in line, I think at 10 or something like that, we stopped and got street bagels with egg and cheese on the bagels, and they're just so good and so delicious. The bagel is huge, and it's just hot, piping hot, right off the griddle. Standing in line on a cold morning, eating your hot bagel. So good.
New York has a smell to it. There's a certain smell.
And also, it's a very safe city, and it is very clean. The New York of the 80s and 90s is no longer. Yeah, the city is very nice and very clean and safe. You can walk through the park. I've walked through the park at 10:30 at night, and there are sightseers and families and runners. It's not. I'm sure there are seedy places everywhere, but it's not what it was the first couple times I went to New York, where it was you really had to hold on. You're getting people getting mugged all the time. Sure, people are still getting mugged, but it's much different. And I love the food smells and the food carts and the trucks and the bagels and the pretzels and the hot dogs, and the falafels. And it's there's something.
Get a pretzel.
There's something pretzels for everybody. They did a double film. They filmed a double show. So we got there and the show started. We had to get in there at 11, and we didn't get out till 2:30 or 3 or something ridiculous. So it was a long haul. But the guests were Lily Reinhart and Allison Williams, and then the last guest, who will have probably a show all to herself, was Malala Yousafzai. So that was very, very cool. Aside from the Obamas and Kamala Harris and Hillary Clinton, if I had to hear anybody else speak, I think Malala would have been. And we didn't even know who it was going to be.
That's cool.
So it was very cool. The other thing, Cheryl, that I love is, you get swag when you go to these shows. Mm-hmm. So we all got a copy of Malala's new book. So that was very cool in hardcover. We also got 2 movie tickets to the new film that Allison Williams is in. And don't ask me the name of the movie. So, and right there, those books are like $32, whatever. The movie tickets are probably $30 for 2 tickets. And then we got a bag with 3 beauty products in it. It was like a face mask, a mascara, 4 beauty products, a lip liner, and a lipstick. And then we got a coupon where you go online and you enter a code and you get a $189 nail set with including gel nail. You get to pick 6 gel nail polishes, and it was like almost a $200 offer, and they ship it to your house for free, which I've already ordered that I'm going to give to one of my kids.
No, that's cool.
And so it was great. Like, you come out of there with a hefty bag of goodies.
Yeah.
Which I thought was super, super fun. So that was our, let's see, what number day was that? That was our 3rd day. And then we got out of there. We were starving. So we stopped at a little Thai place and had Thai food for lunch.
Oh, is it good?
Delicious, of course. And then we had dinner reservations that evening at Lily's. So 3 of the ladies went to go down to Battery Park and take the ferry around the Statue of Liberty because one of them had never been to New York City before. But I actually went out and just traipsed around the city by myself. And I was actually in search of some really well-made fake luxury items. But I didn't find any. So I was kind of disappointed. But while I was out walking, I ran into one of the other ladies on the trip. And I was like, in a city of how many millions of people, what are the chances that I run smack into the person I'm traveling with? So we went to a couple of places and just looked around and chatted and enjoyed, the weather, the dusk time. Went back to the hotel, rested up a little bit, and then went out to dinner to this place called Lily's off of Times Square. And Cheryl, it was decorated to the nines with Halloween decor, skeletons and ghouls and guts and gore. And it was so cool. I've showed Cheryl pictures.
Her pictures are awesome. She took great pictures.
They're so cool. So maybe I'll post some of them on our Instagram or on our TikTok.
You should. So
you guys can see it. And we left there. That was our last night there. So, of course, the first night everyone was in bed by 10:30. Second night, everyone was in bed by 11:30. We didn't leave the restaurant, I don't think, until 10:15. So, much later last night. And as we're walking back, we had to kind of go down to Times Square and go down a couple blocks. And all of a sudden, there's all these tarps laid out with luxury handbags and items. And this guy kind of materializes on my left, and he was from Cameroon or Sierra Leone. He had a very thick accent, very seemed like a nice kid, but he goes, "Hey, you want to buy this?" Now I'm not going to say what it was because it's probably going to be going as a Christmas present to someone in my family.
Okay. But
I said, "How much do you want for it?" And he's walking with me, and I kind of slowed down, and he goes, $250. And I looked at him, I was like, "Chuck, whatever. I'm not paying $250 for that." And he goes, okay. He goes, "How about I give it to you for $200?" And I was like, "No." I was like, first of all, I said, I don't have room in my suitcase for that. And also I said I would need 2 because I have 2 kids. And he's like, okay. He goes, "How about both of them for $400? And I go, "No, and I don't even like the colors you have."
Wait, he came down to $200 anyway, and so now
yeah, I know. So I'm like, "No," and then he goes, "What will you pay?" And I go, "What will you take?" And he goes, "Okay, how about both of them? Both of them." I can't remember. I think he said $350, and I was like, "No." I said, "That's crazy," and I kept walking. And now he's literally glued to my side, and he's like, "Come on." He's like, "Come on," and I go, "Okay, well, I want 2 of them the same color." So he gets on his phone and he texts somebody to bring him the same color because I don't want 2 different colors. Anybody who has children knows you don't buy 2 children 2 different colors because someone's not going to like what the other one has, right? It doesn't matter what age they are.
Right.
So the kid comes running up with the other color, and
they're in a van around the corner?
No, he's literally standing down the road. And I said, and there's people everywhere. I mean, there's people so I said, how about $100 a piece? And he goes, okay. He didn't even bat an eye. I probably could have gone down to 60. I mean, I think about it now. I'm like, but whatever. I mean, he started at $250 each, which would have been $500 for two. And instead of $500 for two, I got them for $100 each.
Well, and tell everyone how much they retail for.
They retail for $586 each.
Yeah.
So I peel off $200, hand it to him, and I carrying my items now. And the ladies I'm with are like, are those stolen? Are those hot? Are those like fake? What's the story? And I'm like, I don't know, but I just got them for $100 a piece, so I don't really care. Now they're sitting in my closet. So, So
all these street vendors, do the cops come by or whoever?
They do. So they put them on tarps so that they can just pull the tarp up, and they have it system. So they pull a string and it like collapse it. They could throw it over their shoulder and run. Because any of these pirated things or stolen goods, they're not supposed to sell. And also all the fakes, the dupes, the Louis Vuittons and the Pradas and the Gucci's and the Chanel's and the Dior's, they're not supposed to sell them. That counterfeit industry is huge and it's illegal. But everybody goes to New York to buy their counterfeit shit.
Oh, I
because
did not
it's
know
really
that.
good. They usually go to Canal Street, and there are people who will say, you want to buy a Prada? They're standing on the corner. You want to buy Chanel? And they'll show you on their phone, and then they'll take you to a back alley, and they'll open the car. Oh, yeah. And that was the other thing I was thinking.
Her friends thought she was being sex trafficked.
Sex trafficked to another country. But anyway, I got the goods, guys, and then we went to the hotel bar, and we got there, and it was closing in 15 minutes. It closes, I think, at like midnight or something. So we really did push it on the last night. And then we got up, and, because of the way air travel is nowadays, folks, it doesn't matter what time of the day you're traveling. I feel like you have to be at the airport at, whatever ridiculous hour of the day. And so we took, instead of taking an Uber, our hotel told us they'd charge us much less than the Uber. So I canceled our Uber ride, which, by the way, I got to just bring this up. Our Uber driver is said on the app that his name was Dong, and it said hard of hearing. And he kept going in circles. You can see real time on the Uber app where your Uber driver is. And he kept going around the block and not picking us up. He was like going somewhere. And I was like, well, he's not just hard of hearing. He also doesn't know where we are. And I kept sending him the address. And when he would respond, it would come up in Chinese characters. And then underneath is a little thing that says translate. And you hit the translate and it translates it real time. So it's so cool, Cheryl. You can talk to people in other countries and not even worry about the language barrier.
So he couldn't find the place?
I don't know what his deal was. But finally, after standing there for like 5 to 7 minutes, I just canceled the ride. And the hotel took us for like $30 cheaper.
Oh, wow.
And dropped us off in front of our terminal. And shame on you, Delta Airlines, for making us fly tiny planes, which I know it's a metal bullet flying through the air, but for whatever reason, I just feel safer when it's larger as opposed to smaller. And then we were home in an hour. So that was my exciting trip to the Big Apple.
You got to post some of your pictures. Your pictures are beautiful.
And special thanks to those bitches that I went on this trip with. I told you would remain nameless, and I have not called out any names. I do have some fun things I'm going to be talking about in the future that were conversations, small snippets of conversations or bigger conversations that we had, because they're really, really interesting topics. I love getting to know people and what makes them tick and their quirks and things like that. And as we get older, the same quirks that we have when we're younger become bigger quirks as we get older, or, manifest themselves in different ways. So anyway, ladies, it was super fun.
Yeah, you really get to know people when you travel with them, because I bet you learned a lot about them more than you knew, right, before.
Yeah. And the only other time I've traveled with some of these women was when we traveled with our kids.
Right.
And that's always so different too, because you're more focused on what's going on with your kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, and no, everybody was friends when we left, and everybody was friends when we got home.
You don't know that. You may never hear from them again.
Yeah, exactly. I'll see online that they've gone on a trip and I wasn't invited. Boo. Anyway, I've told some of them to come by my eBay store and look at my stuff because maybe I can clear out some of this stuff and get some new inventory.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that was my exciting trip to the Big Apple. And then I came home and Cheryl had held down the fort and taken care of the animals. And my husband had held down the fort and continued to feed people and bring in the mail. And I had a big pile of packages on the table.
Yeah, you did.
Which was
like
so
Christmas.
Exciting because I love packages. Big and small.
Junk
That's what
mail
she
too.
said.
She's crazy.
Yeah, but there was no junk mail for me when I got home.
I threw it.
But anyway, that was so my
cool.
exciting trip. And I'm just here to tell you that I'm in my travel era now. Yeah, that's what I'm calling this period of my life is my travel era.
You've always traveled.
But not when the kids were younger, because it was expensive and like I couldn't afford it. But now I'm in my
making
travel
up
era.
For lost time.
I am. And if you don't like traveling, it's a real crime because you don't know all the cool places that you're missing and things that you're not seeing. But you know what's even bigger crime?
What's that, Joy?
That we are out of time.
That is a crime. Well, thank you for listening, everyone, and don't complicate your day. All creativity, commentary, and opinions in this podcast belong to Cheryl and Joy. Music composed and mixed by Gabe McKeon. Logo and merch managed by Cheryl Yamaguchi. Podcast editing, advertising, and social media managed by Joy McKeon. Legal representation provided by John Bojezic. Please like, subscribe, follow, and listen. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Audible.com, Amazon Music, YouTube, and iHeartRadio. And remember, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok, or you can email us at murderandeverythingelse@gmail.com.
Bye, fishes.